Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you can see from the title of this video, this is going to be a Jude girl. You can hear everything. That's what it is. Lev's, my baby's first week of baby-led weaning. If you're not familiar with baby-led weaning, it's basically where you start babies off with like whole solid foods instead of going to purees when you first start with solids. Lev is, what's today? Today's the 16th, he's born on the 28th, so he'll be 6 months, 3 days after Christmas. He was, however, showing signs for being ready for eating. He's just like really staring at us when we were eating our food. I didn't start my daughter on solids until she was a week away from 6 months versus he started at like 5.5 months, so a little bit earlier. You wait until your baby is showing signs of eating, like wanting to grab your food, looking at you when you're eating, being able to hold themselves up somewhat, like in a sitting position. And then also baby-led weaning is not a requirement. You can just go to purees, like you don't have to do it. I feel like it's definitely becoming very popular and mainstream, but just remember, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. However, there are many benefits, such as baby is in charge of what and how much they're eating, which is good for self-regulation and just from the jump starts like good eating habits. Realizing when you're full, you should stop eating. When you're hungry, you should start eating. Baby is also more likely to be exposed to many different flavors and types of food with baby-led weaning, and definitely different textures, because purees are all the same texture versus when you're eating like whole foods, they're getting different textures. And then also you don't have to do a bunch of like individual prep for your baby. So if I was just doing purees, I personally would be making probably 95% of them homemade, which would obviously take more time because I have to still make myself Corey and Jude food. And so when I can do it all together, it definitely saves time. And finally, baby-led weaning is great to help baby work on their fine motor skills, because as baby gets older, they're gonna have to start using their what's called their pincer grabs to pick up small little pieces of food. Jude is just opening our fridge and helping herself. Baby has to work on picking up different size food and different types of food. So like picking up broccoli is a little bit different than picking up avocado. Anyway, I'll stop ranting. Let's get to the, let go please. Let's get to the main part of the video, which is what you're here for and probably more interesting, starring Lev Boy. On day one, I served Lev Boy some avocado and mashed lentils. I do prefer to start my babies off with non-sweet veggies. I mean, I should really just say non-sweet foods, because technically avocado is a fruit, but we treat it like a veggie. And then obviously lentils is like a bean, legume, whatever you want to call it. I think this is what helped Jude enjoy veggies. It could have just been luck, but I've been told by even other people that Jude is one of the most non-picky toddlers. Like her pediatrician is always shocked by the food she eats. I'm using this crinkle cutter to cut up the avocado for Lev, just because it makes it a little bit easier for him to eat. And then I'm cutting up the rest for Jude girl, because I wasn't about to pull out another knife. That just seems unnecessary. These crinkle cutters are very affordable on Amazon. And then I took probably about half a tablespoon of lentils. These are just canned lentils that were cooked. If you're using canned things for babies, you do want to make sure that there's no added salt. I personally do not give my babies any added salt or sugar until they turn 1. That's not a requirement. That's more like a probably don't, but something that is a requirement is before 1, do not give babies honey. That includes foods that have honey in it. It can cause something that's called botulism. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, I took about a half a tablespoon of the lentils and just mashed it up with a fork, as you can see, with probably about a teaspoon of breast milk that I had from the hawker earlier that day. And then I served it up to Lev Boy. I actually wanted to give him black beans this day, but I realized I had lentils instead of black beans, but that's fine. Either way, black beans and lentils, you still like any type of bean, legume, you want to be a little bit cautious of not giving babies too much, because I think we all know why. You could also spread the mashed lentils on a thin like rice cake, which I'll probably do in the future once I've introduced rice cakes and rice and things like that to him. And for the most part, Lev played with the food, which is what babies are going to do this young, but he did actually love the lentils, probably because it was mixed with breast milk. And the avocado, he is still kind of like, I'm not sure, but he eats it because the boy loves to eat. On day 2, I gave Lev avocado again and red pepper. A few things I didn't talk about in the intro yesterday. First, you're going to see a repeat of some foods throughout this video. That is purposeful. 1, because as adults we eat the same foods daily, right? And 2, it takes something like 10 or more introductions of a food before a baby or toddler can really determine if they like something. So this is a habit to carry forward even as your child gets older. Keep introducing a food over and over. Maybe cut it a little bit different, serve it mixed with something that they do like. I actually did this with rice with Jude. Jude didn't really eat rice unless it was mixed with Greek yogurt, which she absolutely loves, so I would just do less and less Greek yogurt each time, and eventually she ended up liking rice by itself. And then second, I'm showing my dinner because Lev's meals are spin-offs of our dinner, and obviously they're very small portions of them, but this is another thing that we continue as our babies get older. They just get more and more and bigger portions of the dinner that we're already eating. This is another thing that I love about baby-led weaning. Anyway, I steamed a wide big slice of red pepper, which is easier for Lev to hold, like the bigger slice, and then I removed the skin, which I did like the wrong way. It would be much easier if I had put it in a bowl after steaming it and covered with like plastic wrap, and then the skin just peels off, but I was being lazy and trying to do it quick, and then I ended up like burning my fingers. Anyway, I took the skin off and then cut the avocado the same way as I did yesterday. I gave him 2 slices. He liked the avocado a lot more today, but he loved the red pepper. He would actually get angry when he dropped it, but he did a pretty good job, and he's already getting better at like picking foods up. It's so crazy how quickly babies learn. On day 3, I gave Lev some broccoli and red bell pepper. When you pair something high in iron like broccoli, spinach, kale, honestly most green veggies or leafy greens with something high in vitamin C like bell pepper, oranges, strawberries, your body is better able to absorb the iron. And while food in the first year is mostly for play, it's also because babies' requirements for certain nutrients like iron and zinc increases. I prepared the red bell pepper the same way I did yesterday. I even did the plastic wrap trick, and the skin didn't come off seamlessly, but it was much easier and I didn't burn myself. As I said yesterday, you can leave the skin on, which will make it easier for baby to grip but harder to eat. You could also buy jarred roasted red bell pepper to skip all the preparation, but just take a look at the ingredients and make sure it's actually just roasted red bell pepper. I keep getting tongue-tied. Roasted red bell pepper, and if there's added salt, give the piece a really good rinse before giving it to baby. For the broccoli, I just steamed it alongside the bell pepper until it was soft. It seems counterintuitive, but you want to keep the piece large until baby's about 9 months or so, and then you can make them into smaller bite-sized pieces so that baby can work on that pincer grasp, and baby will have a better idea of their mouth and how much food they can handle. Oh, and if you're wondering why the past 2 days, not today though, I had Christmas tattoos on my hands, well, you're definitely not keeping up with my 24 days of toddler advent calendar ideas, but day 11 was little Christmas tattoos with Jude girl, and she wanted me to put some on. On day 4, I gave Lev green beans and zucchini. To prepare them, I roasted both of them alongside our roasted veggies. I just skipped the salt and other seasonings for now. Once Lev has had both a few times as is, I'll add on some seasonings other than salt and then add salt once he turns 1. You can leave the green beans as is until baby's about 9 months old, and then you can cut them into bite-sized pieces. And for the zucchini, you should cut them in adult finger-length spears until baby's about 9 months old, and then you can cut them into bite-sized pieces too. You may be wondering why I've only shown 1 meal per day, and that's because Lev only eats solids once a day for now. In a month or 2, we'll start to give him breakfast and dinner, and then in another month or so, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And finally, by the time he's close to about 1 year old, he'll be eating 3 meals and then probably like a snack or 2. I followed a similar cadence with Jude, and it worked well, and her growth is great, and her vitamin levels, especially iron, have always been optimal. Keep in mind that until around 1 year old, at minimum 50% of your baby's caloric needs will be coming from breast milk and or formula. Jude loved zucchini when she was Lev's age, so I was excited to see what he thought, and he definitely loved it too. The green beans were also a hit, so I'm excited. On the last day of this week of baby Lev weaning, I just decided to show Monday through Friday because I feel like 5 days is plenty. I gave Lev lentils with breast milk again, avocado again, but this time I put some ground flax seeds on it and some crusts of our homemade sourdough pizza. Sprinkling some flax meal on the avocado makes it easier to grip, but you don't want to go crazy because flax meal helps get things moving, if you know what I mean. I made my own sourdough starter, almost 2 years ago now, or over 2 years ago, I'm not sure, and made the sourdough pizza all from scratch, so I felt comfortable giving Lev some of the crust. At this age, crusty hard bread is safer than soft bread. It basically acts as a teether, and then once the crust started to get a little soft, I just took it away from Lev. As he gets older, I would just let him work through the whole thing. I made sure that there's absolutely no cheese on the crust piece that I gave him because we haven't introduced dairy yet, but this was an introduction to one of the big 8 allergens, which is wheat, because I do use wheat and white flour to feed my sourdough starter, which is the base of the sourdough crust. The other main allergens are dairy, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, shellfish, egg, and soy. Sesame seeds isn't part of the big 8 major allergens, but food organizations have been trying to get it added to the list for a while because of how common it is. I will be introducing all the major allergens within the next few months because it's recommended to introduce and keep giving the major allergens as long as there's not a reaction, obviously, in the first year to reduce the likelihood of baby having an allergy. But Lev ended up loving this meal. He apparently likes avocado more with flax seeds. He loved the lentils and he loved the little crust. Sometimes I'd put some of the lentil mash on the crust and he'd suck it off. He ended up like licking his plate. He was into it. Anyway, that wraps up this week of the first week of baby Lev weaning with my almost 6-month-old. As I said, I just did Monday through Friday because I felt like that was long enough, but I'll share more of what Lev eats, my baby, and actually probably do some what a toddler eats in a day with Jude Girl in future videos. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful and I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. Bye.